Hey, what's up guys? English Dave here with the Entertain Link spoiler-free review for the highly anticipated Marvel's Captain America Civil War. At this point, we all know that the Marvel Studios movies all interconnect in one way or another in what is collectively known as the MCU. Well, at least you should know, it's been like 13 movies over 8 years. This has led us to having characters that share the same universe and even teaming up together on occasion to defeat the bad guys. In a world of powered individuals, alien beings, and technology so advanced it's indistinguishable from magic, defeating the bad guys usually comes at a cost, usually that of severe collateral damage. Loosely based on the comics with a similar name and themes, Civil War poses these questions. Who answers for the damages caused and civilian lives lost? Has the rise in powered heroes caused the rise of powered villains? What gives powered people the right to interfere with other countries? These concerns are brought to the surface after a mission in Lagos, Nigeria goes wrong. This final straw is a cause for concern to many world leaders who then get together and decide to draft a document known as the Sokovia Accords. Named after the nation of Sokovia, the one that fell out of the sky during the events of Age of Ultron, the Accords state, in accordance with the document at hand, I hereby certify that the below-mentioned participants, peoples and individuals shall no longer operate freely or unregulated, but instead operate under the rules, ordinances and governances of the aforementioned United Nations panel, acting only when and if the panel deems it appropriate and or necessary. As you've no doubt seen in all the marketing, the Accords divide our heroes into two groups. One group is headed up by Tony Stark, who really believes that this is the right decision. He's seen what happens when his tech is abused and the cost of civilian lives is just way too high that he agrees that the Avengers do need to be kept in check. Whatever form that takes, well, he's in support of it. The other group is led by Steve Rogers, Captain America himself. He's been misled by people in power before, and while he acknowledges the costs, he believes that the safest hands are still their own. He doesn't want to live in a world where someone in an office will dictate who they can and can't save. It's a very intriguing argument played in a way that shows both sides have a legitimate point of view. The film was directed by Marvel's own dynamic duo, the Russo brothers. After helming the fantastic Winter Soldier, these directors solidified that they can craft a great story with elements that ground it, yet maintain the fact that it's set in a world of superpowers. In many ways, Winter Soldier doesn't feel like a typical comic book movie, but more a political thriller with superhero elements. With Winter Soldier, they were able to show their talent for shooting and directing action, and with Civil War, well, they've taken it to 11. They're amongst my favorite directors working right now. They're able to frame action scenes in very kinetic ways, yet you're always completely aware of what's happening. You know the geography of where the characters are in relation to who's fighting who, and you can tell they've taken extra care in making sure each character acts, moves, and fights like they would. No two characters feel like the other. They found a pacing that knows when to slow down and have nuanced character moments that make the eventual fighting pack more of an emotional punch. At times you want to cry out, please guys, stop fighting. One of my concerns going into this film was that with so many characters, it ran the risk of feeling like an Avengers movie, with many even jokingly calling it Avengers 2.5. I wondered how the Russos could juggle so many characters, yet make it feel like a Captain America movie. Well, the brothers nailed it perfectly. The directors clearly learned a lot in their time doing episodes of Community. Yeah, how many of you knew that that was part of their portfolio? In that show, they had relatively short time to tell stories featuring a host of lead characters. Those skills seem to have transitioned perfectly to this film. This really didn't feel like an Avengers movie, but more like a Captain America movie that featured the Avengers characters. The movie features a whole host of returning heroes and a couple of fresh faces to boot. Each one of them is given a reason as to which side they choose, and they all had their moments in the spotlight. I won't go into spoilers here, but I'll briefly talk about my feelings for the main players. Besides, we already know who sides with who. On Team Iron Man you have Black Widow. Once again, Scarlett Johansson shines as the former Russian spy turned double agent. She's focused on her mission and is always checking her six. She's loyal, yet because of her past knows that sometimes the job sucks, but they do it to keep others safe, not themselves. Don Cheadle's War Machine is a soldier still in the military who believes he has duty to his leaders. He believes there's a reason we have rules and a chain of command, and on top of that, he's Tony's best friend. Vision plays a rather interesting role. It's not a big one, but Paul Bettany presents the character in ways you wouldn't expect, especially if you're not familiar with the comics. For a character so powerful, he's aware that the hero's mere existence is almost like a taunt to the bad guys, calling them to test that power. Black Panther, the new addition to the team, is one of my favorite characters in the film. Chadwick Boseman carries T'Challa with such regal poise that tells you, yes, this guy is definitely an important person, without the film needing to blatantly point out that he's royalty. His accent is great, his cat-like agility and fighting style is fantastic, and I must have that costume for Halloween. If you're a fan of Black Panther, he gives you everything you'd want, leaving you excited for what he'll deliver in his solo film. On Team Cap, we have Bucky, one of the characters at the heart of the conflict. Major parts of the story centers around Steve wanting to help his friend, who becomes a wanted man because of the crimes he committed as a brainwashed super soldier. As with Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan delivers few lines, yet speaks volumes. In this film, you can see a tortured man who's just trying to get control of his life back. Elizabeth Olsen plays Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch. She's a character who knows that she's powerful and fears that if she ever seems like she's out of control, she'll be placed in captivity. Just like in Age of Ultron when Von Strucker experimented on her and her brother Pietro, aka Quicksilver. She works at trying to gain control of her powers so as not to cause accidental harm to innocents. She's new to the hero world but is willing to learn. Hawkeye has some cool moments and lines. Once again, Jeremy Renner shines when he's on screen, making you want a solo Hawkeye story just so that you can get to know more of him. His motivations for joining the fight at first seem questionable, until you remember that he's also a spy and understands that if you don't act now, it could get really ugly later. Paul Rudd's Ant-Man does only what Paul Rudd's Ant-Man can do. It's as if the director just said, do what you do, and he did. He's one of the characters that really doesn't have a personal stake in the story, but he joins because of his fanboy love for Captain America and his distrust of people in power. And if you remember in Ant-Man, he was framed by his ex-employers when he tried to reveal that they were partaking in illegal practices. Just like in the Ant-Man movies, his size shifting looks great in the action scenes, and Rudd brings a humor that really helps ease the tension. Anthony Mackie returns to form as the Falcon. He and Steve bonded quickly, and being a fellow soldier has Cap's back no matter the cost. However, he also acts as a voice of reason of sorts. He doesn't mind getting to a scrap, he just wants to make sure Cap is ready for the ramifications. Being Steve's modern-day best friend, things get interesting when Bucky gets into the mix.
On the roof!
Now Spider-Man, what can I say? Since the MCU's inception, comic fans have been wanting to see Spider-Man in his rightful place amongst the Avengers. I am personally a huge Spider-Man fan, and I must say, Tom Holland's version was fantastic. I'll go into more details in our spoiler talk, but all I will say is that he is just perfect. From his one-liners to how he moves, everything about him says this is Spidey the way he should be. While I appreciate what they did in bringing attention to comic book movies, I was never a fan of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and though I preferred elements of it, Andrew Garfield's version didn't quite hit the mark. But this shows that if you want something done right, do it yourself, and that's exactly what Marvel did with Spidey. He's not as integral to the story as he is in the comic version. In fact, you could technically take him out and it wouldn't make much difference. However, he's still connected in interesting ways, and whenever he's on screen, you just get giddy, smiling ear to ear, and by the end of the film, he'll have you wishing his solo movie would hurry up and get made already. And of course, we have Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark and Chris Evans' Captain America. Over the past few years, we've seen both actors take their characters to places we didn't expect we'd see. They've crafted layered characters that only works because they've taken the time to dig deep into what makes them tick. You understand and get behind every action they take, making it so hard for you to really pick which side you'd be on. At one time you may agree with Cap, but then something will happen that makes you think, wait, maybe Tony's correct. These are both men that don't want to be dealing with this, but understand that they have to. They both have a respect for each other and even still care, but the problem is they believe the other is wrong. All the character dynamics are handled really well. Again, without spoiling anything, we happily get many moments where we see characters interact with one another, even the side characters. In ways, this makes you realize that these are guys who are friends and know each other. There's so much to like about this movie that it'll definitely require multiple viewings in order to process it all. The action is top-notch, setting a new standard that future comic book movies need to definitely reach. The characters are so well developed, even the ones that only get a few moments to shine. Spidey and Black Panther of course are fantastic, but one of my favorite things is the villain. Yes, the movie does have a villain. I won't elaborate, but I will say that he's probably one of my favorite villains in terms of what his plan was, what motivated him to carry it out, and how he goes about doing it. Some might not like how it's played out, but I loved it for those very reasons, and I'll elaborate in our spoiler chat. There's actually not much to hate in this film without being nitpicky. After watching, I did have a small issue. But then I did some research and realized that was just because of my own ignorance. If I'm being super nitpicky, there's another small issue, but you can't really call it an issue because it was something that was subtly set up in Winter Soldier and then continued here. I won't elaborate until our spoiler chat, but like I said, it's something very nitpicky for nitpicking's sake. If there's a true flaw, is that I want to see what happens next for these characters, and I want to see it now, damn it. Civil War is a fantastic movie that is clearly made by a team that not only understands the characters, but has respect and love for them. This is a movie made by nerds for nerds. You can't fully appreciate it as a standalone film, but that's not really the intention. This film demands that you know the cinematic history of the characters and doesn't apologize for it. It's a film that expands on the well-crafted cinematic universe and opens the door to many questions as to what happens next. It's a thrill ride and a thought-provoker that will leave you not arguing whether it's good or bad, but rather who was right and who was the best character. Civil War is a highly recommended movie you must watch as many times as you can, and then buy the Blu-ray when it comes out. Thanks guys for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, like it, and share with all your friends. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel for more reviews and videos. Also check out our website, entertainlinks.com, and follow us on all the social networks at entertainlinks. My name is English Dave, and this has been an Entertain Links spoiler-free review for Captain America Civil War. See ya.